Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the Takedown Podcast. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me, as always, by my side is my boy RC Roy Costin himself. Roy, what a week in wrestling. We got some predictions for Summerslam coming up. We had a pipe bomb NXT style this week, and we had AEW Redemption, which started an hour earlier, and it still ended late because Tony Khan is going to Tony Khan. Other than that, how are you doing today?
Doing great, man. I'm looking forward to getting into the NXT stuff. I know we're not going to start with that, but I am looking forward to getting into that because I have a couple comments that I saw floating around that I want to kind of tackle. Raw, I have some thoughts. I have thoughts.
Insert the video here of Roy Austin. I have thoughts.
I have thoughts. Yeah. But I mean, it started off great, man. Like, Redemption was, look, we said it on here. There were going to be some predictable things, but the matches themselves were going to be great, and they were. They were great matches. We got a couple kind of surprises, but other than that, everything else was kind of predictable.
So the ones that we really wanted to take note for everybody here is kind of like the predictable ones that we kind of thought. But one I want to touch upon that I didn't think was so predictable, I'm thinking, okay, they just gave Hikaru Shida the AEW TBS championship, but the match was great all in all. But dang it, Maya World, after doing what she did in the Owen Hart Cup tournament for the women, now as the new TBS champion, my initial thought was, okay, she's going to be the one to defeat Athena now that she's broken that record. But I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with it. And I think Nixon Newell and Miranda Alizé are kicking themselves for what happened back at that time in Collision. But hey, Maya World, one's gain, one's opportunity. She's made the most of it. She is the new AEW TBS champion. Your thoughts on Maya World taking it?
I was on the fence when we did our predictions last week about whether or not I thought she was going to win. And the more and more you had talked about, well, Hikaru Shida just got it, so I don't see him taking it off of her. And I was like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I think now this makes Hikaru Shida the shortest reign for TBS title and for the women's title.
Yes.
So I hate Shida didn't get a longer reign, but I'm extremely happy for Maya World. She has worked her butt off, even before the whole, Nixon Newell thing. So I'd never want to say, like, that's the whole reason she got her push, but she's worked her butt off so much. And I was under the impression with you. I thought it was going to be her and Athena, and it still might be. But yeah, that one was the big shocker for me of the whole night, was the fact that she got the title so early in Shida's reign.
I will say this, when it comes to Maya World, and we've said this many times, her story writes itself. And I think the story of her doing it for her brother and doing it for her family, we all love a feel-good story, and the genuine and authenticity of it really just elevates Maya World to her character development and her work as a performer. But the other thing I will have to mention on the cringeworthy side before we get to the other three things that we want to mention with our redemption discussion, our good old Mick Foley. Let me tell you something about Mick Foley. Mick, I love you, but what in the world was this segment? So Mick Foley's in the back interviewing Lena Cross and Megan Bayne, the Women's World Tag Team Champions. And we know that they're facing the Brawling Brutes going into AEW All in London, Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor. And look, they're doing the bar type of gimmick, APA. They're fighting. They're the Brawling Birds. They're this rough and tough tag team. And assuming that they're doing it all in London, I think that is where the Divine Dominion lose their AEW Women's World Tag Team Champions. But with this segment, that was so cringeworthy. And I like Megan Bayne. I like Lena Cross. I think they're both very talented ladies. But they did the whole bow down to with Mick, and Mick started barking like a dog and woofing for like 20 seconds. And it was one of the most cringiest things that I will say, and I'm sure you could say, after watching Mick Foley's career for as long as we've had, that is probably one of the most cringiest things I've ever seen Mick Foley do. And I remember when he was TNA World Champion and he was dropping the people's elbow on the cardboard cutout of Rocky Balboa. This is just another level of cringe. Roy, your thoughts on Mick Foley in the Divine Dominion interview and segment?
Yeah, it was weird. Um, because then he posted something kind of backtracking and was like, "Oh yeah, I thought she said bow wow, not bow down, so I barked." And my first thought was, well, even if she said that, why did you bark? Like, look, everybody keeps saying, oh, well, Trish did it, so why is it different when Mick Foley does it? We all know that it was a bad thing when Trish did it. Like, even looking back on it, everybody has actually brought that up as one of the worst segments ever put on WWE TV. That's saying a lot, by the way. Um, and everybody's like, well, Trish barked like a dog. What makes it different? No, Trish barked like a dog. We all know that that is a terrible segment. What makes a difference is we know better now. Like, what was the meaning of it? It didn't make any sense. Um, sure, if you go by what he said, he heard her say bow wow, so he barked. If that's the case, then okay, but it was still very weird. Like, you're a Hall of Famer. Um, you're there to have fun. I understand that. But to sit there and bark while two women surround you, it was just kind of like you said, it was kind of cringe. It's kind of
Well, here's my thing too, and obviously the segment that we're talking about from 2001 with Vince McMahon and Trish Stratus, we definitely do know better now. But also, you could make a case like the story of the time was he's dehumanizing Trish, making her feel less than, and this was around the time when you were going towards Vince versus Shane at WrestleMania 17, which coincidentally enough, Mick Foley was a huge part of that as well as the referee. So you had a end game there. There was the payoff of Shane getting revenge for his mother and taking Vince out, and Trish Stratus turning on Stephanie and Vince in that whole segment after
yep.
Linda was in the coma. So you developed a storyline that led to the biggest show of the year. This was just, they thought it would be funny to like heighten how badass the Divine Dominion is and how, they're taking over the women's tag team division, which I get because they're both very imposing forces. But at the end of the day, too, it just made for something that was just like, why? Why are we doing this? They could have done so many different ways, but they chose this way, and it was not their best execution. But as far as execution wise, another thing that we did see, we kind of knew was another predictable thing, and we know where they're going now towards All in London. Willow Nightingale, Pete Tekla for the AEW Women's World Championship. Mercedes and Willow at All In. It was a foregone conclusion. I like the match, but again, Tekla has been a badass as a heel. She's funny, she's blunt, she's out there, and it works. And she was doing a great job with her Stardom stuff. And she still does have a title within Stardom, don't get me wrong. But for you, Roy, what were your thoughts on the predictability of, hey, we got Mercedes Will out All in London and the title change itself?
I mean, we all saw it coming. Uh, I like it though. Well, let me backtrack that and rephrase it. I like the fact that Willow is now a Grand Slam champion in AEW. That's really cool. Uh, but Tekla's been doing such good work, and it's almost like a rug pull. Hey, you helped build the women's division over these past few months, and we're going to repay you by taking the title off of you right before our biggest show of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, and it may still happen because we still have SmackDown, but that would be like, hey, Sol Ruka, you've been doing such a great job with this Intercontinental Championship. We're going to take the title off of you right before SummerSlam, but then we're going to add Raquel Rodriguez versus someone else at SummerSlam. The difference right now is there is no women's Intercontinental Championship being defended on SummerSlam, so it's not that big of a kick, but we knew that Mercedes was going after the women's champion. So as soon as they said, oh, well, Willow is going to face off for the title before we get to All In, everybody's like, oh, okay, so Willow's going to win. this was a good opportunity, in my opinion, to turn a one-on-one situation into a triple threat. That way you still get Willow and you still get Mercedes involved, but then you can still have Tekla have the title going into All In. Um, that way she's still on the card. I'm sure they'll find a way to put her on the card still, but it would be so much different going into All In as the champion, even if you know you're going to lose. Going into All In as the champion, as opposed to going into All In just lost your championship and you're in a whole different match, or not even being on the All In card at all. So
It's one of those things for me. She still does have a Stardom championship. So my initial thought was, since Kyrie, the former Kyrie Sane, is now free agent, I could definitely do something where the Stardom championship is defended all in London and it's her and Kyrie, which I think that would be a very cool dynamic. I'm just spitballing because she still has that title, but if you want to have her focused in a prime matchup, so to speak, that's fresh and it also gets some more eyes on Stardom, I think that's another way to go if you really want to look at it like that.
yeah, that's not a bad idea at all. You would still have her on the card. You would still have her as a champion, and plus you could have her facing off against, a big name. So that's not a bad idea.
And speaking of championships, and not a bad idea, look, this national championship that AEW has had, what Ricochet doing his thing, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, I feel like it's been really dead in the water, and it's just kind of there because they have so many titles right now, which we've discussed. But Andrade is a new AEW national champion, defeating Mark Davis. Call me surprised, because I'm saying that sarcastically. Not surprised in the slightest, because they're doing the stuff with him and MJF, the Don Callis family stuff. So you add another belt off the Don Callis family stuff. Your thoughts on Andrade winning the national championship?
It was, once again, a foregone conclusion, the way they've been building everything up. I would be interested to see where they go in terms of, does Andrade now go on to face Kyle Fletcher and possibly win that title off of him and maybe unify that title? Because Fletcher's got the Continental Championship. You take the National Championship, you just combine them in a unified national, continental, whatever they want to call it. Maybe intercontinental, considering that's what it would be. uh, but I could see them doing that maybe at All In. The only thing is, if you do that at All In, do you have MJF return after the match, attack Andrade, and then you get Andrade and MJF for that new unified title at All Out?
That would be interesting if you build to All In and then them at All Out. That's my thing too. It's just because MJF is hurt. He's dealing with nagging injuries. And I will say this, and I love MJF as a fellow Long Islander, Roy, a fellow Long Islander. The dude's got to stop taking the risks that he's taking, because he's hurting his body, number one. And number two, sometimes you have to save wrestlers from themselves. And number three, just stop. And I also look at it from a stance like this. He's become such a valuable asset to the company. I'd be interested in that idea, but it's like, where do we go from here now with Andrade and the national championship? Because you have Kevin Knight and Kyle Fletcher kind of like trying to prove their loyalty and who's the better champion or whatever in the Don Callis family. There's that internal struggle. But the difference with this is, we've seen this before with Ospreay and Takeshita. That would be like, remember back in the days when you had Immortal and TNA and Ric Flair and Fortune and everything. The early stages of Fortune was AJ Styles versus Frankie Kazarian in a matchup where who does Ric Flair love more? And Ric Flair cuts the infamous promo about, we used to do this all the day on the Horsemen. We'd fight it out. And I'm thinking to myself, from a logic standpoint, when the Four Horsemen had problems, I got to tell you something, Roy. I don't remember seeing Ric Flair versus Tully or Ric Flair versus Arn back in the 80s. Because you know why? That never happened. So it's like, what are we doing here? From that standpoint, 16 years ago to this, it's just, there's internal conflicts and there's a whole lot of hoopla. And speaking of a whole lot of hoopla, our main event was Kenny Omega beating Kevin Knight. Again, solid match. You knew they were not going to take the title off him. But the big thing that everybody's talking about is afterwards, because the Death Riders come out with their paper bag and the whole bag, and just in general of just, suffocation, no breathing, to quote Papa Roach, and putting the plastic bag over Kenny Omega's head. Will Ospreay's like, no, bruv. And he fights them off. And then he saves Kenny. The Young Bucks are out there too. Much like you stated last week, it's kind of very parallel to what you mentioned, Mr. Roy. And then Kenny Omega does the one-winged angel to Will Ospreay, and then we go off the air. Your thoughts?
I saw people saying, "Oh, Kenny turned heel on Ospreay, blah blah blah." Okay, Ospreay was working with a heel group.
Yep.
He's been wrestling with a heel faction as a heel. The only thing he did was say, "Hey, I don't want to murder this guy."
Yep.
What are we doing here?
Call me crazy. I don't want to murder my friend.
Call me crazy. I want to draw the line at murder. Like Rhino said, though, this is a kid-friendly show.
That's another thing, too. I have to ask you this because you did mention this in our chat. Good old Rhino, ECW legend Rhino, Gore, Rhino himself, TNA Hall of Famer. Where did he say this at? Because I'm kind of curious now.
I saw it. It was in a quote where he was talking about AEW, and I can't remember. I'll have to find it here in a little while, and I'll put up the actual quote.
Yeah.
But he was talking on a podcast about AEW and how Tony Khan is very great to his employees, like all the wrestlers. And he finished off the quote by saying, plus they have cultivated a family-friendly environment there. And I'm like, no, they haven't. Where do you see family-friendly when it comes to AEW? Like, as compared to what?
Just for the record, to add to Roy's point, during the Chris Jericho-Tommaso Ciampa match, this man got the drill to Tommaso Ciampa on his head. Come on. Come on. That negates everything that Rhino said, and you can pull up the quote here in a little bit. But I look at it from a stance like this, Roy. It's like the way that I view it is when people say stuff like that, like Darby Allin going through the glass, or just, everything just in general. Tony Khan rolling down, stop, drop, and roll. Jack Perry on fire. Like, come on. It's like they do not represent what a family-friendly environment is. And look, I'm sure Tony loves his employees, as you should, and you should want to treat them well as a boss. But it's just like family-friendly and AEW does not go together in my eyes, as I'm sure it does a lot of your eyes. But it's like, Rhino. You know what else I got pissed off about? Speaking of ECW rituals, Tommy Dreamer. Because when Mick Foley was in the ring with Kyle Fletcher and Don Callis' family, in that promo, Tommy Dreamer wanted to see Kyle Fletcher versus Mick Foley. And for that, Tommy Dreamer, I say no. And just no. Stop it.
No. Tommy Dreamer also thought that the friggin' Joe Hendry concert was such a great idea. Oh, buddy. Oh, we'll
get to that in a second. But yeah, I saw that, and that really got Joe Hendry over. Okay, Tommy. So the thing to add on to the main event, like you mentioned, you're doing an angle from back in the 80s with Terry Funk, because John Moxley, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but John Moxley really loves Terry Funk. So the paper bag stuff that we saw, not the paper bag, I keep saying paper bag, somebody bag him a lunch. The plastic
It would be better if it was a paper bag.
I know, but
at least then it wouldn't be murder.
That's a bloody murder. Murder was the case, and they blame me, Chameleonaire. So he gets the plastic bag, and Will Ospreay's like, no, bruv, like I mentioned. And Kenny Omega, they're equating it to what he did to AJ Styles, the one-winged angel. But hey, whatever. It just, it is what it is. We knew what we were going to get. We knew we were going to get the whole melee after it. And it was what it was to end the show. But yeah, that was AEW Redemption and what we really wanted to touch upon. Again, solid show, but it's just like, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? And I will tell you where we go from here as Roy looks for that quote.
I got it. Yeah, I was about to say, if you go into the chat, you can pull it up for us.
Okay, I didn't see it. Let me take a look. Hold on. I will pull it up.
Yeah, you're good. I will say it's transcribed from Fightful. Fightful does a fantastic job with transcriptions. So I will definitely shout them out. They have some people working there that they listen to tons of stuff simply just to transcribe. So very, very cool of them for the transcription. So
Mm-hmm. So here's what Fightful had to say. And this is what Rhino said about praising Tony Khan and his company. A lot of the AEW stars are well seasoned, they're well trained, and they're interested not only in the product, and that's why Tony Khan, he's the owner and operator, he's hands-on, he's there, he's making the calls, and he's a great guy to work for, and he puts out a product for families to go out and enjoy. And for that I say no. Rhino, Rhino, Rhino. Rhino, Rhino, Rhino.
yeah, which I will say, I think that was from. It's making its rounds again. I do think that was from last year when he said that.
Yeah.
But even then, um, because he's doing promotion again this year for them being in Detroit.
Yes.
Because I think he's going to be on the show, which they're in Detroit tonight, right?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So one, we all know
Yes.
that one.
Yeah, Motor City Machine Guns, definitely.
But being that he's going to be on the show, he's doing like free publicity and free rounds around the news stations in Detroit to promote AEW. Brother, you're not signed with AEW. You don't have to promote them. Like, I'm glad you are. By all means, that's really cool. But you're not signed by AEW. You don't have to go around talking about AEW, you know?
Hey, I can respect the hustle.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I can too.
And speaking of hustle, we wanted to hustle ourselves way out of this Raw, but we have to talk about it for two big things that happened. One was woo, and the other one was like, oh. So we'll start with the one that was like woo first. So Danhausen and Joe Hendry have this concert, and it turns into I believe you are cursed. I believe you are cursed. The minis come in, then we get the Clippers dancers, and then Ryan Garcia, Zuffa Boxing, welterweight champion. And they have to promote this because Zuffa Boxing, TKO, Dana White, and they have this fight coming up, which I get. I totally get it. So they worked his way into the show, and he has the guitar, and Joe Hendry's like, oh, hey, man, yeah, you're rocking with us. Woo, yeah, all right. And then Ryan Garcia hits Joe Hendry with the guitar. Here comes Dominic and JD McDonough. They beat up Danhausen and Joe Hendry and the minis, and they stand tall at the end of the segment. Yeah. And
yeah.
Also, and now Danhausen and Dominic's match at SummerSlam is a human money's on a pole. Bro, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get the monies. He's always talking about the monies, and then we're going to put it on the pole, bro. And then swerve.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm trying to think of where to begin with this one. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, buddy of mine, and we were talking about the segment, and he brought up the same thing that Meltzer said of overexposure. They're starting to overexpose Danhausen. And I argued that it's not overexposure, but rather misuse. Mm-hmm. You can use Danhausen every single show in every other segment and it not be overexposure as long as you're doing something in the realm of Danhausen. Last week, we had Shiloh Hill find a guy online that sells teeth, and it was Danhausen. Not overexposure, not misuse. That was a perfect segment. It made sense. A borderline would be when Danhausen drove EO out to the ring last week. Mm-hmm. That was borderline misuse. I get it. EO's fun. She's happy. You know, the whole and cursed. It makes sense. Fine. I get it. Danhausen is not a concert guy. If you wanted to do Danhausen comes and makes the save with the minis, that would have been fine. Like if Joe Hendry goes out there, he has a concert about, Judgment Day, and has a concert about how Dom sucks or whatever, and then they attack him, and then you have Danhausen come out there with his tank or with his car, and all the minis jump out and they attack Judgment Day, but they all still get beat down. Okay, that's fine. That's not overexposure. That's not misuse. But when you have him out there playing a Casio keyboard that is dressed up to look like an organ, and you have the Clippers dancers and everything like that, that is misuse. That's not overexposure. That's misuse. Crowd was dead. It wasn't a great segment. There was a lot of backlash online about it. The only person that seemed to think the segment went well was Tommy Dreamer. I don't know what he was watching. The Ryan Garcia integration with it, it's something they've got to do. I've talked about it a lot on here. I feel there is stuff that Triple H does not want to do, but he's kind of got his hands tied because TKO runs things. So even though, yes, he may have the final say in something, he also has to think, okay, if I say no to this, could I lose my job? Kind of deal. So an integration with a Zumba or a Zuffa boxer, yeah, that's probably something. Okay, we'll put him in there with, I don't know, Dom and them, and have him be like a honorary member of Judgment Day, something like that. It it was a terrible segment, man. Like I don't know what else to say. It didn't do anything for anybody.
It reminds me of when Elias and Jason Jordan were feuding, and like they were throwing vegetables at each other. If you remember that, like during the Elias concert, and I'm like, this is so bad. And Jason Jordan, they were overexposing because Dad, put me in the match, Dad, don't take me out. When he was Kurt Angle's illegitimate son, so he's starting to get uber annoying, and we're starting to get him shoved down our throats. Think of it like that, man. Like you mentioned, I was not a fan of this segment, and Danhausen, like Roy mentioned, he's not a concert guy. He doesn't do the concert and sing and all that stuff. Like he's just like very mischievous. The experiments, like stuff like that. You don't do Danhausen singing "I Believe You Are Cursed" and getting down and doing choreographed dancing with Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry legit was in the music business besides wrestling, and like he knows about record companies and making music and such in production. So it's a blend. It's a mixture of personalities and characters, and I get they have the same feud and the same enemy, but it's just like, no, there could have been other ways that they could have done this, but this is the way they chose, and this is the way that got all of us shaking our heads and rolling our eyes, so to speak. Speaking
Well,
of
I was going to say that, and I didn't even talk about the human monies on a pole match. Like, bro. Okay, I get having a match and saying the winner gets human monies. Cool, fine, do that. That's cool. Why a poll? What are we doing? This is not 2000s Nitro.
Bro, here's what we're going to do.
This is not 2010s TNA.
We're still going to do it, bro.
This is not Juggalo Championship Wrestling.
It's 2026 and we're going to do it, bro.
Like, why? Why are we doing a blank on a pole match? What are we doing?
So, to go to Roy's point, look, I get the human monies, and he's like, Adam Pearce, like, would you just give him the money back? I'm like, my initial thought was, think of 2005. Everybody talks about Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio. The custody of Dominic hanging above the ring. Now we got human monies on a pole. Parallels.
So I honestly wouldn't even be complaining half as much if it was a ladder match with the human monies in like a little bag that has the dollar sign on it, whatever. If it's a ladder match, sure. It's the fact that it is an on the pole match, something that has been memed so much that it is looked at as, yes, that is a horrible idea. This is one of the dumbest ideas for a gimmick match in the history of gimmick matches. It's the fact that it's on the pole. Why? Why? Why can't we do a ladder match? Is it because we're already doing the women's ladder match?
I mean, we had the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian in the TIT Terry Invitational Tournament, ladies and gentlemen. Get your minds out of the gutters. And you had the sack of money hanging above that with Jeff Hardy, just trying to jerk and get that out of there. But if they could do that, why can't we do that within the ladder match realm?
I don't know. I might have actually answered my own question because they already have the women's ladder match for
Yeah.
the women's title.
So
That
we can't
might
do two
be,
ladder matches.
yeah, that might be why they decided we can't do two ladder matches or whatever. But with it being a stipulation match, it does give it the opportunity to have shenanigans. You can have the minis. I want to see the minis get on top of each other, like make like a little totem of minis to try to reach the bag of money. That would be cool. That'd be funny, and it'd be up the realm of Danhausen. Have Danhausen make a new clone that is, like somebody that's 7'6" or something, and maybe have them just come in and grab it off the pole. I don't know, like have fun with it, but man, it's just the stigma of it being a pole match that
It grinds our gears, ladies and gentlemen. To quote Family Guy, it grinds our gears. That's what it does. That's
you
what
know
it
what
does.
really grinds
Grinds my gears.
Hey
I like
Lois, hey Lois, you know what really grinds my gears?
the mail's here. Oh God, still one of my favorite Family Guys. The Blues Clues like iteration there.
Oh yeah.
It's the mail's here. Just his face, the smirk. Mail time, mail time, mail time,
Mail time, mail
mail
time.
time.
Oh,
So speaking of the time has come to talk about the new women's intercontinental champion before we get to NXT and that awesome promo and then the SummerSlam predictions.
yeah.
So Raquel Rodriguez is wrestling Sol Ruca. Now this is a rematch because Sol won the last time because Io helped her against Roxanne and Liv. So almost same scenario here, but Raquel and Roxanne and Liv are all out there. They come to interfere. Here comes Io. Her and Liv Morgan take each other out. But then Roxanne comes over and does her thing to screw up Sol. And then the Tejana bomb, 1, 2, 3. By the way, I think Raquel Rodriguez may have a broken nose after that moonsault because my goodness gracious, was she busted open and her nose was swollen, my dude.
Yeah.
So Raquel Rodriguez is the new women's intercontinental champion. Her first, count it first, singles championship in the WWE on the main roster, that is, as she is a former NXT women's champion. I'm happy for her. I think she's definitely adopted the whole Big Mommy cool aspect about her gimmick, and I think she works really, really hard, and she's been through a lot with her skin condition and everything. We know the whole deal. But my thing is, too, and Roy's about to mention this as well, and I'm in agreement, the timing of this. So here's my thing about the timing, Roy. They promoted Sol versus Lyra as a potential, coming back for the title during that Netflix ad break. And now we're not even going to get Sol and Lyra. Lyra even teased when she was at Bayley, I want the Women's Intercontinental Championship. I was the first Women's Intercontinental Champion. Now Raquel has it, and here we are. So your thoughts on Raquel winning the Women's Intercontinental Championship?
It is like I was saying with the Maya World situation. I am excited for Raquel. It is absolutely nothing against Raquel because she has done fantastic. Like you said, she has taken this mantle of Big Mommy Cool, and now we've actually got the, Liv as champion and Raquel as champion, just like we had with Diesel and Shawn Michaels. So it's coming to fruition, which is awesome. I love it. But why now?
Right.
We had all this stuff set up with Lyra. We had so many options we could have done. We could have had this at the pay-per-view instead of, as much as I love the guys and everything, and yeah, they are making, some of them are making their SummerSlam debuts. We don't need to see Bloodline versus random three guys. This could easily take the spot of that one. Uh, where we could have had like a fatal four way, even. You throw in Bailey, you throw in Lyra, you have Raquel, you have Soul defending against those three. You have Lyra and Bailey so focused on each other that they take each other out of the match. And then you still have Raquel win at SummerSlam the same way she won here. You know, Tahana Bomb, boom, 1, 2, 3. Bell rings, Lyra and Bailey are out in like the crowd fighting and realize, oh, we missed our opportunity to win the title because we were so focused on each other. But instead, we just, the go home Raw, we have a title change. And then where do we go from here? Because you don't want to do Lyra versus Raquel. That's not who she's got beef with. Do you bring Bailey back in to win it off of Raquel just to have Lyra beat Bailey? Like, it made so much more sense having Lyra go after Soul, because the face heel dynamic, she was already, that was where her mindset was already at, was I need to regain that title that I lost. I was the first, everything like that. The timing is just so odd to me, man. It just didn't make any sense. But once again, I'm not taking anything away from Raquel. Congratulations to her. I'm so glad that she's got this title. I just wish it had come at a different time.
I look at it like this. I actually like the idea you proposed of, hey, Bailey's the one who beats Raquel, and Lyra is so completely driven over the edge because she has my title, the title I was the first ever champion of, and that just sets her even more over the edge. And then you have Lyra finally beat Bailey, and who better for her than to beat Bailey for that championship, rid her of her out of her life, so to speak. So I think you planted the seeds there, but yeah, timing is everything. Much like you said, Roy, timing was not of the essence here. But here we are. This is where we're going forward with the Women's Intercontinental Championship as we move forward to NXT. And the big thing we're going to talk about NXT before we get into the predictions. I'm sitting there watching NXT. I'm seeing Vic Joseph. I'm seeing Booker T. And, they're running down the show as they always do. And then all of a sudden, someone's talking about, you want to get on real WWE, huh? And then all of a sudden, here's Grayson Waller, who we haven't seen since the New Day funeral with the tag titles. We haven't seen him do really anything except wrestle on. He did some main event matches, but here he is. He cuts this promo talking about, Marty Jannetty, and he's still allergic to the microphone, which I thought was hilarious. But that line that he said about Austin Theory, I'm going to say this. No lies detected. No lies detected. Cold. But no lies detected. Yeah. Of the two, he was the better talker and he was the better wrestler. And again, I'm not trying to discredit or disparage Austin Theory, but this ain't it. Him as the leader of the Vision now, no. And also, I'd like to add as well that he did mention, YMCA, local gym YMCA. This isn't 2005 anymore. Mike Santana, cold-blooded. He called Tony D's new baby ugly. And he just ripped ass and took names in this promo. He said, Sean, you better tune up the band. Bring your guys. Oh, and I love the throwback because of when him and Shawn Michaels had beef on the Grayson Waller effect, that him and Johnny Gargano. That was a sweet tie-in. He mentioned Gargano. He mentioned Zayn. He mentioned Kevin Owens and all these great NXT champions. He mentioned all these people going up to the roster. And then it's like me, I'm here. I like this. This is what he needed. He needed to come back here. He needs to win that NXT championship. I would be fine with it. Cruz Montana, the former Mike Santana, cut a great promo. The end segment where he instigated and Mike Santana accidentally hit Tony D. Perfect. I thought this overall iteration, this new version of Grayson Waller makes so much sense, and man, I am here for it. Your thoughts on, as I like to call it, the NXT pipe bomb?
Last week, I said have Santana go ahead and get the title off of Tony D.
Right.
Now we know that he is Montana, which is all. Hey, look, I do not discourage anyone that has a name change. Like, you'll see as soon as somebody's like, oh, well, they're changing their name to such and such, everybody online's all up in a tizzy about it, whatever. No, just wait. There's probably a reason why, and there's probably a reason why they're changing their name to that. Okay? Uh, we tweeted out about it sometime this week. Prince Devitt was fantastic in New Japan. Finn Balor, fantastic in WWE. Walter was a phenom on the independent circuit. Gunther has dominated in WWE. I think Cruz Montana will be fine. That being said, last week I wanted Montana to come in and just get the title. Nope. Give it to
Yep.
Waller.
Put
Give
it
it to
on Grayson
Waller.
Waller.
Put the title on Waller. Have, you know what made it special in TNA when Santana won the title? It was because Trick Williams had the title and he was so full of himself being the TNA champion. And then we finally get Santana being the one to take the title off of him, skyrocket to the moon as the champion for TNA. Let Waller run roughshod around all of these guys for a little while as the champion and redo the whole TNA thing where Cruz Montana is the guy that takes the title off of Waller when the time is right. And make sure you do it when the time is right. Don't wait a month and a half, 2 months too late. But put the title on Waller, have him beat a few of the guys, and then put the title on Montana. Because right now, this was the injection they needed for the men's division. We've talked about it before in the past few months where the NXT men's division has always felt lacking. It's always the women's division that's fantastic. And Waller even mentioned that the fact that there's only 10% of people that are even ready to go to the main roster, and they're all women. This is the injection they needed between Waller coming back down and Cruz Montana being a new member on the roster. We've got them two. We've got Mason Rook. We've got Cam. We've got
Jackson Drake to an extent.
Yeah, Jackson Drake. EK Prosper.
Yep.
We've got a bunch of guys
Keanu
that
Carter.
that are starting to really build momentum, and adding Waller and adding Cruz Montana to that is just going to build it even more. So I am super hyped for it. There was a lot of people online that that work in the company that I don't know if they took this. Look, this thing with Unreal,
mm-hmm.
Unreal has added a whole new layer of kayfabe because you have what you see on TV. You have Unreal, which is what they want you to see behind the scenes. Then you have another layer of, it's almost this is what we want you to think is going on. And there were a lot of people in NXT and TNA that were very upset with Waller's promo to the point of somebody, I won't say no names, But somebody even said, yeah, the only reason Waller comes around NXT is because he's trying to get wet. So,
Ah!
so I guess Waller's doing some swimming down at the Performance Center.
Oh my goodness gracious. But yeah, there's a lot of people in TNA, and you just have to go on social media to see it for yourself,
Yeah.
of people who did not like it. And well, that's the thing too. You want to generate a buzz, and you have to also understand there's a lot of truth bombs and what he said. Like Tony D, the only reason you put the title on, they put the title on because everybody else left, which there's some substantial credit to that. And then you also get to see him talk about, hey, why don't y'all get off your TikToks and everything and start paying attention, because we see a lot of them doing the TikToks, and you just want to put WWE superstar in your Instagram, and then 6 months later, you're gone. There's a lot of
Mm.
truth to that too. You just want to go over here and do this and do that. You're highlighting not only him being a veteran, so to speak, right? Coming from that NXT locker room and that brand, and really discussing the analyzing how the world and the longevity of professional wrestling is. But what you're also doing is, it's like you're calling them lazy. You're telling them to stick to the plan and stick to everything that's going to get you to that upper echelon. So there's a lot of truth and validity to that. And you also relate it to what we see with the younger generation doing, which they should be doing more of.
Yeah, it is very it's very refreshing to see these new layers of kayfabe, because now it's back to, oh, kayfabe's dead. No, you just don't understand the levels to it now. So they're actually working everyone again, and it's so fantastic. But the fact, I mean, Waller didn't say anything wrong, and that's why I think you need to go ahead and put the title on him. That way it almost seems like he's right, but then you have to have somebody that's going to champion for NXT, which is why I think Cruz Montana would be perfect for that position.
Agreed wholeheartedly. And I got to tell you, one other thing I liked about the promo that also said it very well from what we saw at the start of NXT, they cut off his mic and he just talks right into the camera, fade to black. That was a perfect transition. It absolutely was. And speaking of perfect transitions, that's why we do what we
What
do
we do.
here on the Takedown podcast. We are going to now do our SummerSlam predictions. And well, 6 matches on both nights, a total of 12 matches all in all. It starts 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Roy and I here on the East Coast, East Side. Saturday at East Coast, East Side. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police, but not really. On Saturday, on Saturday and Sunday. And it's going to be 3 p.m. Pacific time for our people on the West Side, West Coast. Arr, arr. So what I'm going to do here is we'll start with night one, and I think the first one we're going to start with is this match was relatively new, and it was relatively newly announced because of this return. In a 6-woman tag team match, it is the Bella Twins. Nikki Bella is back, and Brie Bella, and of course Paige, against Fatal Influences, JC Jane, Laney Reed, and Family Henley. Now, we said the right call. Fatal Influence won the titles at Madison Square Garden Saturday night's main event. Nikki Bella is back after she was originally supposed to be in the match going into WrestleMania. I think what they are setting up for, and I think this is the start of Paige going to do her solo thing. Not that kind of solo, but the solo thing, if you will. Yeet. But I think the Bella Twins and Paige are going to get the win here, because I think Nikki's going to pin either, if I'm going to be honest here, Laney Reed or Fallon Henley, and that gets the Bella Twins, the match that we were originally going to have and originally who was supposed to be in the match, go against Fatal Influence at Sunday night's main event or whatever is next to unfold there. I think this is going to be a loss for the Fatal Influence trio, and I'm going to go Bellas and Paige to win. Who are you going with, Roy?
See, I'm actually going to go with Fatal Influence.
Okay.
But I do think that we're still going to get the Bellas against Fatal Influence for the titles down the line, because I think Paige may actually be the reason for Fatal Influence to get the win.
Okay.
I could see Paige kind of turning her back on the Bellas, because now she remembers who the Bellas used to be. Like, because you got to remember, when all of them were in the company together, what, 10 years ago,
Yes.
it was, Paige against the Bellas. So now that we've got this Total Divas team again, it's going to be, oh, yeah, no, I remember why I didn't like you two. So I think there might be a spot in the match where there may be some miscommunication, but then Paige is like, no, I'm out, and just walks out on them, leaving it as a 3-on-2. And then we get the win for Fatal Influence. And then we get, well, if it was just 2-on-2, then this wouldn't have happened, kind of thing.
I like the callback to Paige and excuse me. I love the callback to Paige and AJ Lee against the Bellas from WrestleMania 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I like your style. But no, that's one of the things that I will always say about the Bellas. They always know how to play those mean girls very well to the T, put the L on their forehead. Hey, now you're an all-star, loser style, and do everything from that standpoint. And I also look at it from a stance like this, Roy. Definitely, it kind of reminds me of Paige where to turn it. I don't want it to do like a thing where Paige had Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose with Absolution back in the day. But I think if Paige could go back to being like that anti-diva, that heel, that would be fantastic. And she could definitely up the ante on her heel mantra. And her versus Rhea is definitely about that a lot of us want to see. So I like that standpoint. And speaking of standpoints, we'll go to our next matchup of the night. We are going to go next to Gunther versus Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis' first match back in 3 years. I like the contract signing, the powerbomb through the table. Nick Aldis, I think a lot of people forget how good of a wrestler he was from his TNA tenure in the British Invasion with him, Doug Williams. Dare I even say him and Samoa Joe as the TNA Tag Team Champions. Dare I even mention when him and Desmond Wolfe, a.k.a. Nigel McGuinness, were London brawling for like a short period of time. They were good. He just is such a good technical wrestler and just a good wrestler all in all. NWA champion, him and Cody at the OG All In. We'll be here all day. But my thing here, too, is with Gunther. He's a career killer. Gonna kill his career before he even gets started here in WWE, before Nick Aldis has an actual run as a wrestler in the WWE. I would like to see Nick Aldis win just for the surprise and the shock factor, just because I know what Nick Aldis can do, as do you and a lot of us do as wrestling fans. But if I had to pick, I got to go with the Ring General, Gunther, and he'll choke Magnus out, Nick Aldis, if you will. So Gunther or Nick Aldis, Roy?
I'm thinking Gunther, and I think it's going to be, like you were saying, it's going to be a great match, especially, if Aldis brings what he can do, then it's going to be a great match. This is going to go one of two ways. Either after he loses, he realizes, like, hey, I've still got that passion. I've still got that fire. Yeah, Gunther may have beat me, but it's Gunther. I can face off against a lot of people, and he continues to be a wrestler. Or I don't know how much time he's got on his contract. Maybe this is a, hey, can I get one match before I bounce? So either way, I think he's losing. And we're probably going to have to find a new general manager for SmackDown. So, yeah.
William Regal, excuse me. I think that would be a great spot for William Regal as a GM. I'm just saying he was great at NXT. Why not? Why not? But I will say this, as far as that, I like your comparison there. I don't think he's bouncing, but I think if you put him and Cody, like, again, would be sweet, him and Sammy and all these guys, you're in for quality matchups and fresh matchups that we've never seen in the WWE auspices. So, yeah, but Gunther is
what a concept. Fresh matchups. Who would have thought?
Right? Dude, we say it every week, and I don't mean to disparage Raw or any wrestling out there. And AEW has it at times too. It's like we're getting like the same matches, but in different reiterations, and it's boring. And it's like, okay, we saw this last week, or we saw this X amount of times. How many times are we going to do this?
Well, and it doesn't help. It they did the thing that a lot of people hate, where it's, hey, you've got the same guys in the same spots. We're all aggravated with it. We're all tired of it. So what do on SmackDown? You got Damian Priest. Hey, I'm tired of the same guys in the same spots. I'm coming for the title. It's
Yep.
like, okay, I get it. It's cheeky. You know, oh, poking a nudge, tongue in
Hmm.
cheek. We talked about the thing. No, don't just talk about it. Do it. Actually change things up. I I don't know what's so hard about that. You don't have to have the same five guys be in every single pay-per-view and be at the quote unquote top of the card for 4 years straight. You can mix it up some. It's okay.
Or was that a 6-7 I saw there when you were
No,
doing that? Okay, I'm
no, it
just
was
saying.
not.
I'm just saying. I saw a little something there.
No.
What was that? Okay, Roy.
Negative.
All right, man. I'm just saying. I want to make sure I'm seeing what I'm thinking. So we'll go to the next match here. This woman has not defended the championship since WrestleMania. And this is
1-0-0.
zero.
100. She boasted about it on Instagram.
I know. I saw her and CJ Perry talking about it. I
I,
saw that.
I haven't had to defend my title in 100 days because I'm just so awesome.
So the next matchup is Liv Morgan and Io Sky, her first title defense. Look, I'm at the point with this woman where I really want her to just not have that title at all. Like the greatest women's champion of all time is annoying, and that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to generate heat. But yeah, I'm at a point where I'm over it. Io Sky. Pete's Liv Morgan. You? We had Roy.
Yeah. Give it to Io. Let Io defend it on the show. Let her defend it within 100 days. Let her defend it every other week. Put it on somebody that's going to defend the championship. You know what you could have done this whole time while friggin' Liv Morgan has been the champion? You could have her in random matches where she wins because guess what? She's got Roxanne and Raquel at ringside. Boom. Guess what? She can have 10 defenses from the time she won at Mania till now. She could have 10 defenses and they could all be heel wins with help from the outside, but yet you made it to where she hasn't defended. When was the last time we saw any women's title defense other than the Intercontinental Championship?
When Stephanie Vaquer was the women's champion and she defended against Raquel Rodriguez.
So we had, let's see, we already know Liv hasn't defended hers for 100 days, so that was since Mania, right?
Yep.
Okay. Who else has not defended since Mania? Did Rhea? Rhea hasn't. She had to vacate it.
I mean, she defended against Jade in the rematch. That was about it.
Okay, so we had at Backlash, right?
Backlash or one of those, yeah.
Yeah. So we had that title defense, and then we haven't seen Rhea defend the title since. We haven't seen the title since because she's out with injury, assuming. So now they've got to crown a whole new champion. Which with that one, you've got Tiffany Stratton, who is the U.S. champion. Why is she even in the match? She could be defending her title.
Blake Monroe, excuse me.
Like, there's so much.
We'll wait till night 2. We're gonna get to night 2.
But no, give Io this title. Get it off of Liv. I understand everybody Liv is a good heel. She's a good wrestler. I'm just tired of her being the champion. Give the title to Io.
And speaking of something that we're kind of tired of, but we understand, and you said, we could just bounce this match and dare I say, put the kibosh on it. It is a 6-man tag team match as it is. LA Knight. Yeah. Solo Sikoa and Royce Keys versus the Bloodlines, Jimmy and Jey Uso and Jacob Fatu. Look, I know Royce Keys and Jacob Fatu were boys. He didn't want to do it to him because he's in the bloodline. He's got orders, and he's taking out his boy. LA Knight, does not trust Roman Reigns or the bloodline. He's been telling the Usos, like, hey, man, I know where this is going. I know y'all are going back to the old bloodline. You can't fool me. And then we have Royce Keys in here because, again, him and Jacob Fatu were boys. And I am very excited that he's getting this prominent role and his debut on a pay-per-view. And PLE, shout out to Royce Keys because he's come a long way. But in this particular match, I get it. But I also think it's a foregone conclusion because they want to continue to advance the story and see what other layers that they could put on it, if you want to call it that. But in this matchup, I got to go with the Bloodlines, Usos and Jacob Fatu over LA Knight. Yeah, Solo Sikoa and Royce Keys. Who are you picking?
It's tough, man. Honest to God, it is, because on one hand, I want to see Jacob Fatu pin LA Knight for the win. Like, that's how I want this match to end, is Fatu pins LA Knight. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I kind of really want Solo to stack Jimmy and Jay and pin them both Roman Reigns style, just to further it along even more. Because how funny and how great would it be to have Solo stack the Usos and pin them and then look at the camera and do this. Like, oh, it would be so good. I would love that so much. But I think if the Bloodline wins, it's going to be Jacob getting the win. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go baby faces on this one. I'm going to go Solo, Royce, and Knight. I'm going to go with them on this one. Yeah.
Thank you. I was waiting for that, Roy. You got to give me a yeah.
Well, I didn't say LA Knight. Yeah, I just said Knight.
I do like how he's also saying that's not an insult. That's just a fact of life, going back to the Eli Drake saying.
Dummy. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have the dummy button on your phone?
I didn't, but it was there. Like, it was funny. I love the dummy button. That's the kind of stuff that I miss with LA Knight now. He's not an in-ring guy. I'm sorry. I know people love LA Knight. Everybody's like, oh man, LA Knight deserves a title, blah, blah, blah. No, he doesn't. He doesn't deserve a title. I'm sorry. I'm going to be honest with everybody right now. He is not an in-ring guy. He doesn't deserve a title. He is catchphrase. He's a good manager. He would be a great manager. You could maybe have him be the manager of, I don't know, a modeling agency or something and turn that into a thing.
I see what you did there.
Look, I am not going to say that Vince McMahon had good ideas. All I am going to say is there are some things that I think had legs when he was around. And LA Knight being a manager is one of them, in my opinion. I'm just not an LA Knight guy. I'm not. I'm sorry.
Hey, I did spend $1 for that dummy yeah button back in the day, and I played it because it was funny. Don't be hating.
Oh, hey, you know, he's just not my cup of tea when it comes to in-ring. Just because, and I think it's more of his fans. It's not him himself. So I might be putting too much on it, but it's not him himself. It's the people that consider themselves like mega fans for LA Knight, because they're like, oh, he's so good. You know, he doesn't botch like Jimmy and Jey Uso and blah, blah, blah. And he deserves a title and he should be the world champion right now. It's like, well, let's not go that far. Okay? Like, he's entertaining. He is.
Well, I mean, it's not like your hate for Nikita Lyons, but we'll be here all day on that.
I don't hate Nikita Lyons.
You just don't get it.
No, I get it. I get it. It's just not my cup of tea. I get it. Don't worry.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next match. Obafemi, Brock Lesnar, Hell in a Cell. I like the segment on Raw where he locked him in and he ran away. It's like, you can't run away from Oba this Sunday. Look, here's what I got to say about Oba and Brock. They did hype on Raw that, well, Brock Lesnar's never lost a Hell in a Cell match. He literally had 2 Hell in a Cell matches with the same person. The Undertaker at No Mercy 02 and The Undertaker at Hell in a Cell 2015. All right. So I look at it from a stance like this. They're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Brock Lesnar country. If you're going to make this big and to end this feud, the right person to go over is Obafemi, and then have him go for the title, and then he could get rid of this Brock Lesnar problem, and then he could go fight for the title. So to put in the bluntest of terms, Obafemi. Who? Roy.
Oh, that go home angle. That's the only thing that's getting me right now, because any other time I'm like Oba 100%. Got to be Oba. But because of them making such a big deal about how Oba scared Brock Lesnar and everything, it almost makes me be like, oh, are they gonna really let Brock win? I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I'm going Oba. Yeah, I'm going Oba, and I'm hoping that it's gonna be a barn burner. Like, I want this to be the match of Saturday. I even think, are they starting the night off with that? Is that going to be the 1 hour? Because they say something about doing 1 hour on ESPN and then switching over or
They
something
didn't
like that.
they didn't say what's going to start, but they just announced, oh, here's the matches for night 1 and here's the matches for night 2.
I could see this being the opener just because it's ESPN, it's Brock Lesnar. There's y'all remember former UFC champion Brock Lesnar? He's in a Hell in a Cell match. So you're getting a gimmick match, you're getting a Lesnar match, you're getting Oba, the up and coming guy. I could see this being the opener that's on ESPN to kind of drag people in. And if that's the case, you got to go with Oba. Like, yeah, y'all remember Lesnar? This is the guy that's beating Lesnar. So, yeah, I'm going Oba.
And finally, of the matches of night 1, CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. Hey man, why'd you hit me with the belt? Why'd you knock the microphone at it? I hate you. I love you. I love you. I hate you. I can't live without you. Saliva always. And stuff like that. So they went back and forth on the mic. Can they, whatever. I'm not going to say can they coexist, but it's like, can they? I don't know, but it is what it is. It's going to be a good match. CM Punk said when, as you know, and here we are. They've had some good back and forths on the microphone, and we've seen them in the ring as a tag team. And they've been teasing them going for Damian Priest and R-Truth. All right. But I think in this particular scenario, and this will tie into when we about to get into night 2, I got to go CM Punk to retain. And Cody is not going to finish this story. Not the 4th story. Not the next story in the chapter. Not the story after that. And after that. Or after that. So I'm going to go CM Punk. Who are you going with, Roy? CM Punk or Cody?
I wish Cody would stop writing so many books.
Yep.
Because not everything has to be a story.
Right.
I want Punk to win.
Yes.
And I want Cody to turn heel. Give me a heel Cody stable. Give me Cody. Give me Ricky. Give me Ethan Page. Give me Matt Cardona. Give me Sean Spears. Give me these guys. Hey, you know who's going to be at the tryouts this weekend? KJ Orso.
Yep. Who was that?
Fuego del Sol.
Yeah, was that Guevara's friend, right?
Well, you got to remember something too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not just Guevara's friend.
Yeah.
In back in the days of AEW Dark,
okay,
there was Fuego del Sol,
mm-hmm.
and I think it was Fuego 2.
Okay.
Fuego 2 was this buff, real big, masked wrestler that looked just like Fuego. But the only thing is, he had this weird tattoo right here on his neck.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah. KJ's really close with Cody. He has the look of a good, smarmy bad guy that will wear like a suit, and Cody had a vision so many years ago of him, Cardona, and Sean Spears as kind of a new Four Horsemen type gimmick. They're all Ric Flair. Like, because when it came to the Four Horsemen, everybody wanted to be Flair.
Right.
Um, and I think that, in my opinion, as funny as it is, I think that's a spit in Dusty's face. Like, hey, Dad, I want to be your arch enemy. but I would love to see this be the start of Cody finally saying, okay, I need to change things. I need to kind of start making some changes, and it has to start with Punk retaining on Saturday.
All right. And speaking of Saturday, we now move on to Sunday. I met this girl on Monday, took her for a drink on Tuesday. I'll start singing Craig David 7 Days up in here, man. That was a classic. Take it back. We go to night 2 and 6 matches as well. I figured we start with this one because, again, this one was also relatively new and added. So Trick Williams loses the fatal 4-way number 1 contenders match to Finn Balor on SmackDown. And then they did an afterwards that they showed on the WWE YouTube channel. Baron Corbin attacked Trick Williams, as we saw him attack Trick and Mello. And Baron Corbin is even positioned for Mello to be in this match because he thought it was unfair. The heel was like, hey, man, why is Carmelo Hayes not in this? But hey, here we are. So Trick Williams versus Baron Corbin for the United States Championship. Baron Corbin, a former WWE United States champion. He just came back, so it doesn't make any sense for him to lose. So as much as Trick Williams is over, like Rover, and can talk and can wrestle, and he has that factor about him, that it factor, if you will, it's not going to hurt him if he loses because of shenanigans and cheating and tomfoolery and, dare I say, overall nonsense. But in that particular scenario, I'm going to go with the lone wolf, Baron Corbin, to win the United States Championship. Roy, take it.
Friday, we're going to get Mello added to the match.
The match, yes.
And Mello's eating that pin because I think partially that might be why Baron was like, yeah, I think Mello should be in this match too. Because, like you said, Trick is over.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to pin him right now.
Right.
You don't want to have him lose. You've got Baron Corbin. He just came back. This would be a great stepping stone for him to have the title. So you put a third person in there to take the pin. I love Mello. Mello is honestly one of my favorite wrestlers. I think they should do more with Mello. But if you're going to have Trick lose the title and you're going to have Baron win the title, then you kind of got to have a buffer. And that buffer, sadly, is Mello. If it is just the two of them, if it is just Trick versus Corbin, then yeah, there's going to be some sort of shenanigans. I could see Lil Yachty being the cause of something. Maybe he hits Mello by accident, or not Mello.
Trick.
Maybe he hits Trick with the title by accident, and we get the end of days. Nobody kicks out of the end of days except for Drew McIntyre. And 1, 2, 3, there we go. Like you said, Mello. God, I've got Mello
Trick.
on the brain. I want
Trick.
Mello in this match so bad. I want him in this. I know. I want him in this match so bad. I keep saying Mello. Trick doesn't lose popularity with the people.
No.
Because he's better in the ring than LA Knight, but he's a lot of the same LA Knight type stuff where he's got a catchphrase. He's very entertaining, and the people are going to love him regardless if he has a title or not. So I think Baron wins. and Trick loses his championship on Sunday.
I will say this: you're like, I want Mello. I don't care about Baron. I want Mello. My man, Mello. You sound like Titus O'Neil when he was talking about Darren Young back in the day. My man, Darren.
My man Darren.
My man, Darren.
They should be doing so much more with Mello, man. I think that's the whole reason. Anyways.
So moving on from Roy's boy, my man Mello. So we're going to go to our next match. All right, we'll do this one because I feel it's a layup, and I've loved the story. He beat him in his debut on Netflix. He's one of the fastest rising stars. He's a current Intercontinental Champion. So it's Penta versus Chad Gable. Chad Gable lost to Luchadors, went to Mexico. He's El Grande Americano, the OG El Grande Americano. He does a lot of great things in Mexico. He's doing his thing. He's really rejuvenating and revitalizing his career. He gets hurt. And then Lou Kaiser steps in and becomes El Grande Americano. Then they have their feud. And it goes across Mexico. And it's one of the most amazing and capturing stories in probably the whole year thus far in professional wrestling. Loses the mask, bloodied. Then he comes back, apologizes to Phoenix, and apologizes to the Alpha Academy, and apologizes to Penta the whole nine. Wins the gauntlet match, and now he wants to face Penta fair and square and prove that he's the better man in his hometown of Minneapolis, Minnesota. If Chad Gable does not win the Intercontinental Championship after they highlighted that he lost to Gunther and Sammy, and the fact that this is his hometown, and the fact that he's never held the singles title as long as he's been on the roster, that being 10 years, it is a crime and a half. So with that being said, Chad Gable wins the Intercontinental Championship. Roy?
Even ChatGPT couldn't mess up this booking.
Yep.
Let Chad Gable win. Sunday, I'm so looking at the other matches for Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday is going to be the night for wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is going to be a burner. This is going to be probably one of the matches of the weekend. And the only reason I don't even say match of the night is because we've got another one later that I think may steal the show. But this one is going to be up. It's going to be 1 and 2 with those two. But this is the time to put the title on Gable. If you don't put the title on Gable now, then you might as well just get rid of Gable, period. Just send him to a whole different company because there is no reason he should not win the IC title on Sunday.
I mean, this man has done everything in this company for 10 years that he's been told. This man even wrestled briefly on 205 Live and tried to make him a cruiserweight. And this man dressed like he was in Space Jam and came out as Shorty G. Like, he's done a lot. Just give him the belt. Just give him the belt. And you can give us something else because, yeah, let's just get this one over with. And a Human Money's on a Pole match. The winner will keep the $100,000 Danhausen stole from the Judgment Day. Danhausen versus Dominic. Just to end this feud. And then we can go from Dominic going against El Grande Americano at Triple Mania, which I'm more heavily invested in that because for those who didn't see AAA, he turned on El Grande. And now, since there's no Vikingo, we got Big Omos with Dominic now. They added another layer to that story, which is wonderful. I'm more invested in that than I am this. So just for sake of, you know what, and giggles, I'm going to go with Danhausen to win this match. Who are you picking, Roy? Danhausen or Dom?
Danhausen's going to win this one because of, it's a stipulation so we can kind of throw in some shenanigans and stuff. Yeah, AAA and WWE is a tale of two Doms because Dom in WWE is having a comedy feud with Danhausen over fake money.
Yep.
In AAA, he is now the leader of a faction. Now, granted, it's only 2 other people in the faction right now.
Yeah.
But his second in command is Omos.
Yep.
And he is having this beautiful feud going up against this guy who has embraced the Mexican culture, who has embraced lucha libre, and basically you've got Dom who's turned his back on lucha. Like, that's his whole thing, is he comes from a lineage of lucha. He grew up in lucha. He has multiple family members in lucha, but instead he's like, no, I'm the king of the luchadors because I'm so much better than all these other guys. Whereas El Grande's like, no, I have so much to learn from everyone. And Dom's like, well, I'm the one that teaches them now. So
Well,
you have this beautiful feud in AAA, and then you go to WWE, and he's like, "Oh yeah, let's put a bag of money on a pole and have a match."
I look at it like this before we go to the next match. Look at it from a stance like this where it's just, okay, you set yourself up from the AAA side where it's like Vikingo can come back and be like, hey, man, what the hell? And you can set something up there, and Dominic and Vikingo can have a nice little battle. And also at the same time, too, they finally have infused AAA out with NXT because you had OTM lose to Birthright, and here comes Angel and Berto, and here's Lucian Price over here like, hey, man, are we still a thing? Or are you going with them? And he's like, no, we're all good. And I think that's going to lead to Bronco Nima finally turning on Lucian Prince and just, yeah.
Yeah. We say it every time we talk about it. AAA and NXT are honestly two of the best things going right now. And main roster just keeps shoving it in our face of, oh, y'all like what they're doing in both of those places? Well, we're going to do something completely different with those people when they get here. It's like, why? Oh, you know how great it would be to integrate the Judgment Day with this newfound Omos and what they have a name. I can't remember what the name
It's
of that.
Arrow something. It has to do with the eye.
Yeah, Arrow Oro, I think.
Arrow Oro. Yep. Arrow
yeah.
Oro.
So what better way than to mix it to where it's them and Judgment Day, and now you have Dom as the official leader of this mega faction, and all you did was add a manager and Omos. Like, oh my god, why can't we do that?
We can't have nice things, Roy. We can't.
No, we can't.
Oh, and I would like to apologize. It's Lucian Price. I said Prince. What's the difference?
Oh, yeah.
What's the difference? One letter. So with that being said, look, I got nothing really for that. Just because it's so frustrating. Like
it is.
Well, look at Carmen Petrovich. Like, I mean, they're doing something with her and Nikita and Natalia. That's cool. And I have no problem with that. I'm glad she's getting TV time. And I mean, the Natty stuff is working very well with the girls. But I'm just like, I see her here via Natty's like sidekick and trainee. But then over here, she's this badass just coming out not saying anything and Perros come out.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, but yeah, NXT and AAA are literally the best things going on.
Oh, dude, Worlds Collide. Oh, it's going to be so good.
Whew. And speaking of something that's going to be so good, we have our last three matches. I think this match will be so good, but let's see how they go with it. It is a fatal a five-way ladder match for the interim WWE Women's Championship. So far announced, Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, Chelsea Green, Charlotte Flair, and the winner of Julio or Lash Legend on Friday. I think Tiffany Stratton and Chelsea Green, there's going to be some spot, not to equate like what they did in Money in the Bank. I don't see it. As much as I'd love Chelsea Green to win, I don't see it. Jade Cargill, please no. And I like Jade Cargill, but no, we've already done this. I don't hate her as much as a lot of people hate her, but we've already done this, and it's like, no. So I think her and Charlotte are going to cancel each other out too, as much as I think Charlotte, because you get Rhea and Charlotte one more time to see who the best is. My pick is either Charlotte Flair Or I think Lash Legend's going to beat Julia, and I think Lash Legend, as you know, she pinned Rhea when her and Nia beat her and Rio for the tag titles. So I'm going to go. If you want to do a shocker, I go Lash Legend. How about you?
That is a that I did not see that one coming. That bravo, sir, because that was yeah, and I don't hate it.
No, I don't either.
I don't hate that at all. I was actually going to say Julia.
That too.
I think whoever wins that match on Friday, they're going to be the one that wins the belt on Sunday. So it's either going to be Lash or Julia, but I I don't. The only one, there's literally only one person in the match that I do not want to see win.
Jay Cargill,
No,
Charlotte
no,
Flair.
Stratton.
Oh, okay.
You know why?
Why?
She has a title already. She shouldn't even be in the match. Take her out. Oh my gosh. Like, they were building, there was so much. It's going to turn into a six-way. Somehow or another, Blake Monroe's going to get put into this somehow, and she's going to make sure Tiffany doesn't win, which, once again, if that was what you were going to do, then why not just have that friggin' match instead? Where's Jordan Grace and all this? I want to see Jordan Grace up there too. But no, we don't get that. We don't get nice things around here anymore. Yeah, Tiffany's the only one that I don't want to see win. Depending on the time frame for Rhea coming back, you have something set up with Jade already. That's fine. You have the ongoing feud with Charlotte. That works. You also have, her and Chelsea could be a really fun dynamic for a title match. And then you also have, Lash. If she were to make it, that would be a great match with her and Rhea. And it would be a great match oh my God, it'd be a really great match with Rhea and Julia. So literally the only one I don't want to see win is Stratton. But other than that, I'm gonna say Julia.
Whew. And speaking of another banger, we got two matches left. And a matchup for the undisputed WWE Championship, a number one contenders match to be exact. Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor. Look, both came up around NXT at the same time. Both have had fantastic matches with everybody that they put in front of them. They both are amazing, amazing talents. But it's been 10 years since Finn Balor, the infamous, he wins the Universal title, then he gets hurt, has to relinquish it the next night on Raw. So, with that 10-year curse, I think, and also the fact that literally he was convulsing as the demon against Roman Reigns, which is still one of the most ridiculous finishes ever to a Universal Championship match. I will say this. I think that since we mentioned CM Punk is going to beat Cody, I think Finn Balor should win this, and we get another banger between them, like we saw in Ireland. On the other side of the coin, Sami Zayn is furious, and he wants to go at CM Punk because of 9 days as a champion. So if I had to pick with this one, I'm going to go Finn, and it continues the downward spiral and the overall insanity that will lead with Sami Zayn. So I'm going with Finn Balor and Balor Club, baby. Who are you going with, Roy? Finn Balor or Sami Zayn?
So this was the match I was talking about that would rival Penta and Gable.
Yeah.
If they let Finn and Sammy go out there and be Finn and Sammy, then this match could be the match of the weekend. There's a good case for either one of them. It's so good, but I like the idea, like you just said, Finn gets the win and it sends Sammy on this even further spiral. But I also think that you could get Sammy eking out a victory by cheating a little bit because, he's the last real good guy, but he cheats to win. And it's like, oh, would a good guy do this? It's like, yeah, because I am so good, I'm trying to make sure that I get the championship back on someone who is good. So if I have to cheat to get that title back, then yeah, like, I'm going to have to cheat. So I I'm still sticking with Finn to win, but this is going to be a really good match.
And speaking of really good matches, like Roy mentioned, Sunday I think has the stronger card to an extent because I think we're going to get a lot more out of the second night. And to finish off SummerSlam, we have Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, a title that Seth Rollins never lost, had to relinquish due to injury. We've seen the parallels from their days in the Shield, from Seth beating Roman at Extreme Rules 2016, the Money in the Bank, the cashing in at WrestleMania, everything that they've done, Royal Rumble, like, and Seth coming out in Shield gear. There's plenty of history here. And they kind of built it, like I've mentioned, equated to the fact that, and we knew Stone Cold was going in 2003, but look at The Rock and Stone Cold. The one thing Rock never did was beat Stone Cold at WrestleMania, and he got a chance to do that. And then Stone Cold went into the sunset before the infamous Kevin Owens match, which was fantastic. So I look at it from a stance like this. I think since they're going to continue, I think this going towards WrestleMania with Roman as the champion. And Seth Rollins, I would not hate if he wins because I think him coming back, being the workhorse champion and being that guy that he was before injury definitely says a lot. But I think if you want to get the proverbial monkey off your back, so to speak, I think Roman's going to win and he's going to retain. And that ends the Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins story and saga with him finally getting the victory. Who are you picking, Roy? Roman or Seth?
It's going to be Roman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to be Roman. I'd much rather Seth win it because, like you were talking about, Seth is the workhorse champion and everything. It's going to be Roman because the big money match is Roman and Oba. And being that Oba decided not to take his title match at SummerSlam, I think it's going to prolong it to where it's Oba challenging Roman for the title, and they're not gonna hot potato it until it gets onto Oba. I think they're going to build it more and more because what they're doing now is they're legitimizing the world heavyweight title. Before, when Roman had the undisputed championship and the world title was invented, they made the joke of, oh yeah, y'all had to make a title just so it can be second place. Well, now that he's got the title, it's supposedly making it legitimate and everything. But I thought that they had done that with Seth in the first place. It's always been a 1A, 1B situation, and it was interchangeable. Roman wins this, and then we get Seth breaking off, maybe taking some time off just to completely heal up. I don't know if he's completely healed from all the crap that he's been taking over the past, few months. But Roman wins. Yeah.
I think that's the best way to put it. Roman wins. Yeah. Again, solid stuff. The building has the building. What I mean is the build to SummerSlam, not the
Yeah.
building, the tall ass building. The build to SummerSlam has kind of been lackluster, but I think what we're going to get these two nights is going to be fun and it's going to evoke emotions as it does as wrestling fans. And we hope you enjoyed our predictions and our covering of the weekend wrestling. Before we close this thing out, Roy, where can we follow us on socials? You do an amazing job with the socials as well as the thumbnails. Let us know where we can follow us.
We got Twitter, we got a TikTok, we got YouTube, we got Instagram, Spotify. I think that's all of them.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. You can find us there on any of those at either the Takedown Pod or Takedown Podcast. We have a link tree that's going to be in the description, so you can check us out there, and it'll take you to anywhere that's got some stuff. You can also find us on wfjafm.com/podcasts. We're over there. That's if you want us in, I believe, just audio form on that one. So yeah, you can check us out there. Check us out on Twitter. I try to stay on top of things with tweeting from time to time. I try not to tweet out and let too many of my views clutter up our views, because we may not see the same way on certain things. But there was something I had tweeted the other day where I was just like, okay, I got to take full reins on this one, because what are they even doing? I think it was, where's all the women at?
Yes.
Because where's all the women at? Because we haven't had any good, like, for a while, especially last Monday, not this past Monday, but last Monday, we didn't have any women's matches. And it was such a disheartening thing. There's only 3 women's matches on the card for this weekend, but hey, that's one more than Redemption. But no, you can find us Linktree down below. Other than that, just find me here, man. I don't know.
So I will say this, as Roy mentioned, Linktree for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, TikTok, all Takedown Pod or Takedown Podcast, WFJ.com/podcast, WFJA, hey. But we don't have a fat guy, Albert, with us. Look at it. I look at it from a stance like this, man.
I mean, I'm not Albert, but, hey.
Hey, you're not that bad. I'm putting a PH on that fat, Mr. Roy. I'm putting a PH. You cool son of a gun. I look at it like this. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel, Takedown Pod, and S&M Network shows for all your podcasting needs. Like Roy said, we're very much audio form on WFJA. So to put it to a pop culture reference for a lot of our viewers, we're kind of like Timmy Turner on The Fairly Odd Parents. I'm a man, a big, strong man. And it's a Vicky Free summer. So if you want to check out Instagram, it's Larkin_92 at MLarkinMB, SM Show on MCL92, and StephenMikeShow.com and LFCfights.com for all your audio and video needs. We will see you next week for the fallout from SummerSlam, and then we're going to take our retro trip and nostalgia trip back to WSX, Wrestling Society X, Episode 3. We going back. We taking it back. Oh, my goodness gracious, and we about to take you down. This concludes the next edition of the Takedown Podcast. For Roy Costa, my name is Mike Larkin. We will see you next week, and my man Roy, my man Darren, my man Roy. She already has a title! Roy! Gotta leave me hanging? Come on, give me her!